are listening to offers for Kendrick Bourne.
They said they aren't. I saw a report that there are teams calling and they're interested with Kendrick Bourne, but the Patriots are basically set on keeping him.
Which they should. I think they should keep Kendrick Bourne.
You don't have anyone, so like if a team wants to trade for a receiver, well, it's like the Patriots already don't have wide receiver depth, so it's like I can't trade one of my 2-3 best receivers. Like my trio is Jacoby Myers, Devontae Parker, and Kendrick Bourne. I can't lose one of them. That's just not realistic to happen unless you see something legit from Tyquan Thornton where you believe he can make an impact this year. But if you want to make a run, no, you have to keep Kendrick Bourne. And I like that the Patriots have shut it down. They've listened kind of, but it's kind of like, no, we already have a bad receiving core. We can't give up more.
Well, if they gave him, I'm thinking of like a I look at a team like the Packers who are desperate, right? And I see them like if they get a call from the Packers and the Packers are goofy enough to give them a first round pick for Kendrick Bourne and then maybe like a first and a sixth. I mean, at that point, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to get this anywhere else. Maybe then I consider because the Packers are desperate. Packers, they need to upgrade wide receiver and they need one or two. We mentioned them a bit with Odell, but I think a player they should target for the Packers is DJ Moore because that team is a mess. They could probably give him like a third round pick for DJ Moore and get DJ Moore, who I think will be effective with Aaron Rodgers. Definitely. I mean, some of the quarterbacks he's played for in Carolina has been pretty abysmal.
Yeah, so that brings us into who needs to make a trade. Cam Akers is on the trading block. I don't care because I don't think Cam Akers is that good. I thought he was fine when he played. Good in his system. People kind of like, wow, Cam Akers. We've never seen him play before. And then defenses, the NFL caught up to him. Happens with rookies, young running backs. No shame in that. But the Packers, boy, do they need a wide receiver, and they need one bad. If I'm the Packers, I call the Texans, and I am on my knees. What do I need to do to get Brandon Cooks? What do I need to do? I'll give you everyone but Aaron Rodgers. Like, literally, do I need to give you Jair Alexander? Do I need to give you David Bakhtiari? Do I need to give you 2 first-round picks? Because I'll do it. Because if we're going to sit up here and the Packers like, well, why would we throw away 2 first-round picks on Brandon Cooks? I'm sorry. Are you the team that picked Jordan Love or not? Because you wasted a first-round pick there when you could have, I don't know, got him help. I mean, wasn't that the same draft as Justin Jefferson, Deebo Samuel, all those thugs? You could have gotten Aaron Rodgers, one of those guys, a thug wide receiver, and you're just like, no, Aaron, we got this. We're going to draft your backup. And then he has to go on the Sunday podcast with Caleb Presley, and he's like, what's it like working for Allstate or State Farm in insurance? So like kind of like your team drafting a backup quarterback for insurance. Aaron Rodgers has to put up with that. So I'm like, no, call the Texans. What do we have to do to get Brandon Cooks? Because honestly, if you're the Texans, well, why wouldn't you give him up for some assets? You're not going to do anything this year. You're not going to do anything this next year. If you're lucky, you may do something 3 years from now, but probably not. So it's like, I'll give you Jordan Love.
Yeah, I mean, Jordan Love for the Texans. I mean, Doug Mills has played well for his situation, but overall, Jordan Love, we haven't seen enough from him. I would like the idea of that because Brandon Cooks is one of the most underrated wide receivers of our time.
Yeah.
Like numbers-wise, matches up with the elites. No one ever talks about him because he's always just in a system, play for the Saints, play for the Rams, with the Patriots, was effective with them. Everywhere he goes, he balls. Been balling with the Texans the last few years.
He's been a top 5 wide receiver over the last 5 years. Yeah. If you look at the stats.
I think, I didn't even think of Brandon Cooks, but Brandon Cooks would be a great fit. If I'm the Packers, not only do I trade for Brandon Cooks, I trade for another wide receiver.
Go get Michael Thomas.
Because for the Packers, like, their receivers are so bad that even if Brandon Cooks was their number 1, their number 2 with Adam Lazard is still not enough. No. Maybe it's enough to actually make the playoffs because right now you're on course to not make the playoffs.
Yeah.
But you need 2 because Adam Lazard, even as your third, I'm like, well, I wasn't really in love with that last year. You lost Marquez Valdes-Scantling, and we all know we lost Devontae. But, like, go after DJ Moore and Brandon Cooks, or go after Brandon Cooks and Odell. Go after any wide receiver that's available because you're in a really bad spot.
Yeah. Sign Odell, trade for Brandon Cooks. That's what you have to do. And then you're okay. We have Odell. He's our number 1A, and Brandon Cooks is our 1B, or whatever way you want it. Brandon Cooks is probably your best receiver, but still, go out there, trade for Brandon Cooks, sign Odell Beckham Jr. We fix all the Packers' problems. Boom.
Yeah, because they still have great running backs. Bob Tonyan is a formidable tight end. Offensive line been pretty effective, and their defense still is pretty effective. So with wide receiver help, they'd look a lot better.
Yeah, but knowing the Packers front office, they'll probably go out there, trade a second-round pick for Kadarius Toney.
Yeah, that's the weirdest thing about Kadarius Toney. He requested a trade like a year and a half ago.
They're like, no.
They just punted on it. They're like, oh, that sucks.
You're not good enough to ask for a trade. Who are you? Sit down.
Literally a rookie wide receiver, and they're like, yeah, I don't want to be here. I wonder if he still has that trade offer.
Yeah.
Still has that trade request. I would get it. I would give him like a 7th for him. 6th or 7th. I don't know.
6 or 7, something disrespectful.
Yeah. So Packers make a lot of sense. Another team that needs to make a trade. Honestly, I already mentioned them before, but the Rams.
Yeah.
The Rams are in this part of like, they got to do something to get going because they're in a really bad spot with their offense just being super bland. I mean,
Yeah.
Cooper Cup centric, which honestly, I understand the Cooper Cup centric part. It worked last year, but like, if you can't throw to him, you throw to Higbee. If you can't throw to Higbee, you throw it to the other team. And
Yeah,
that's literally what it's been. Cooper Kupp gets 15 receptions a game. Tyler Higbee gets 7 to 8, and then the other team gets about 3. So that's how it splits down for them.
Yeah, I mean, the Rams need something, but they have nothing left to give.
And that's
You've
what
given
happens
away
when
all
you
your
go all in.
first-round picks.
And that's what happens when you go all in. It's great that you have Jalen Ramsey. It's great that you have Matt Stafford. It's great that you had
Aaron Donald.
It's great that you had Von Miller for that half season.
Yeah.
But now look at you. Now you guys have no picks. Now you guys have not very good salary cap situation. Got Allen Robinson, who's been a whiff so far.
Yeah.
You're kind of screwed.
It's like, I get it. You won a Super Bowl, so it's like, no shame in that. No shame in sucking for a little bit after you win a Super Bowl, but at the same time, it's like, right now, you're not very good. After the Super Bowl, what are you going to do about it? Another team I could see making a swing is Seattle. I think Seattle's in the boat where it's like, we have a legitimate chance to win our division. The 49ers are banged up. The Rams look awful. The Cardinals look awful. Why not us? So I think whether it's a big player on defense, trading a first or second round pick, I think Seattle goes out there and they make a swing for someone. I don't know who it is, but I could just see them making a move. Maybe they're like a dark horse contender for Christian McCaffrey, or because that would make a lot of sense in Seattle. It really would. So I could see Seattle being another team that makes a swing. But overall, Bengals, I think they just got to kind of figure it out. Their offensive line will get better each week. How many receivers can the Bucs trade for? I mean, come on, it's getting ridiculous. So the Bucs, they need to make a trade for someone on the offensive line.
I have one more team that we forgot to mention. The Steelers.
Oh, they
The
need a
Steelers-
quarterback.
Well, they need a quarterback, but they also need literally anybody to block for them because their offensive line has been abysmal. Because they have the talent. I mean, they got they got the running back right. They got Najee. They got Freiermuth. They got 2 good receivers. They need a quarterback.
3, yeah.
And then their defense, they got the dudes on defense. I mean, when TJ Watt comes back, that defense should be effective. Maybe they go after a QB. I mean, I don't know who's available. Maybe, I know the 49ers were trading Jimmy G. They're not going to now.
Yeah.
Maybe Carson Wentz. But the Steelers, they're kind of in that lose-lose spot. If I'm them, I would go after an offensive lineman.